This week we'd like to feature X-Plane 12. X-Plane 12 is a gorgeous simulation for general aviation and more. You can tweak the X-Plane environment to practice specific skills and simulate conditions you'd encounter in a real cockpit. Play it back with new and experienced pilots alike. Love the way you can replay landings and more from any angle. There are infinite ways to practice detailed failures. You can test your reactions and the limits of your aircraft in failure simulation scenarios. You can browse over 500 plus failures to create the perfect training environment for you. Brush up on the classic fundamentals in the Cessna 172, or explore the new MCDU system in the Airbus A330. You can also experience a world of add-ons. Everything that comes with X-Plane makes it the most realistic, most robust flight sim experience you can ever have. X-Plane 12 puts you in the cockpit. Check them out today.
Good evening, kiddies. This evening, we're going to step back in time. In time, specifically to the 1st century BC. We'll be visiting the Mediterranean Sea. But before we do, please, if you enjoy our content, I ask, please subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like button, even make a comment. It helps our channel, and I would much appreciate it. And I want to thank all our friends and family for your continued support. Now, back to our story. I was watching one of my favorite YouTube content creators, Epic Rap Battles of History, who paired historical and fictional characters in rap battles. And I mean bona fide rap battles, dropping bars continuously. Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd and their crew are a must to check out. I'll leave a link to their site below so you can check them out. They're a must see and they won't disappoint. Anyway, I was watching an epic rap battle, a battle between Julius Caesar, played by Nice Peter, and with YouTuber D-Storm Power playing Shaka Zulu. Shaka Zulu opened up the rap battle with his first verse, eventually leading to Caesar's first verse. And Caesar was killing it. And I quote, "You talk a lot of shit for a man wearing a diaper. I heard you had poisonous spit. What was it in this cipher? Because all I heard was threats from a brute with no discipline, and I'm ruling over you like a boot full of my citizens. So you should take your cowskin shield and hide under it. You're fucking with the most triumphant third of the triumvirate. I'm the first of the empire and last of the Republicans, and hunting you accompanied by legions of my countrymen. Ask my kidnappers if I'm just a shit talker. Doc J dunk on you like boom shakalaka." And right there was where I heard it. Ask my kidnappers. That's what sparked this episode. And we will dive into Caesar and his kidnappers. As far as Caesar's other bars, it's hard not to break this down, but that's for another time. So now, let's go back in time to 75 BCE. And we're actually in the Aegean Sea off of the Mediterranean Sea. This area was prominent, or I should say notorious back then. The area of southern Anatolia was known as a dangerous place to sail. The area then was commonly known as Cilicia Trachea, which meant rough Cilicia by the Romans. This was due to the fact this area was infested with pirates. I mean infested. You thought the Caribbean was bad. It had nothing on the Aegean Sea in the 1st century. It was so infested, pirates continually would target Roman ships, whether it be warships or cargo ships, in an effort to land the perfect score, making money or even ransoming people they kidnapped. And for these reasons, the Romans feared traveling through this section of the Aegean, but it was a necessary evil at the time. Now, our story comes from the famed ancient author, historian, biographer Plutarch. Now, it was widely known at the time how dangerous it was to pass through this area. But like I said, it was a necessary evil to face, a gauntlet that had to be ran, especially to reach key locations and ports such as Rhodes and other areas. And on one such trip, a trip which was basically running the gauntlet, involved a young nobleman from Rome who was getting passage to Rhodes so he could study oratory, when all of a sudden his trip was rudely interrupted by a band of Cilician pirates. Pirates who decided to kidnap the young nobleman and hold him for ransom. A decision that ended up being a slight inconvenience for our nobleman, but it was a bout of major bad luck for the pirates involved. Julius Caesar, our kidnapped Roman nobleman, was anything but, how would I say, the model, or what you would know to be the model hostage. He simply refused to obey the pirates' commands. Caesar even mocked and laughed at the pirates, laughing at their so-called puny ransom demand of 20 talents. When the pirates had agreed on 20 talents, Caesar mocked the pirates, telling them they should study their plans better so they would actually know who they had kidnapped. Now, Caesar told the pirates he would ask for no less than 50 talents, leaving the pirates dumbfounded, for they had never witnessed or even heard of a hostage negotiating for more ransom money. But the pirates obviously didn't complain, and they sent their envoy to deliver the terms of the negotiation. At the same time, Caesar made himself at home. He even hung out amongst the captors. And he would go so bold as to even boss the pirates around, barking orders, making the pirates listen to his speeches, poems, and other papers he had wrote. And he would degrade them if they did not understand what he was writing, or if they did not like what he was writing. Caesar didn't mind berating his captors for being too ignorant to enjoy works of art when he presented it to them. Caesar even joined in the pirates' games, participating in their exercises. But the whole time, he was acting as if he was the commanding officer, treating the kidnappers as his subordinates. Ironically, even, he would threaten his captors from time to time with crucifixion. But unfortunately for the pirates, by this time, they took everything Caesar said with a grain of salt, chalking everything he said up to the ramblings of their slightly nutty and eccentric captive. It took 38 days for the ransom to be delivered, and Caesar was set free. Intent on getting his former captors a crucial lesson, and fuck around and find out, FAFO, a lesson is an understatement, actually. Caesar was going to give them a crash course in fuck around and find out. Although at this time, Caesar didn't hold any public offices or any military rank. But somehow he was able to raise a fleet of ships near Miletus. Caesar set sail with his naval force in the intent to capture the pirates at the same island he was being held on. And the pirates, never taking Caesar seriously, were still on the island when he arrived. And Caesar had no trouble at all capturing his kidnappers. Once he had captured them, he delivered his former kidnappers to the governor of Asia. And true to his word, when the Asian governor kept stalling the pirates' punishment, Julius Caesar displays his famous iron will and determination, intervening himself, crucifying the whole lot of the pirates who had kidnapped him. Though it was said he did give them a show of mercy by cutting their throats before they were crucified, giving them a quick and easy death. And it was said he did this due to the fact that they did not treat him bad when they had him as their captive. This event was just a drop in the bucket, but it was a very bold drop and a very bold statement as to which way Caesar would go, where he would eventually command legions to the ends of the earth, battling enemies of Rome, even fighting in a civil war, Roman versus Roman, for control of the Senate and Rome. And Caesar ended up being the most triumphant of the triumvirate, and he was first of the empire and last of the republic. And he held Rome until his death in what was known as the Ides of March, March 15th, 44 BC. He was attacked and stabbed to death by senators, including Brutus and Cassius. Caesar's death sparked another civil war and the complete death of the republic. On one side was Mark Antony, who was one of Caesar's most trusted commanders, who joined sides with Caesar's great-nephew, Gaius Octavius, who would later be known as Octavian. They put their legions against the legions of Brutus and Cassius, and once Brutus and Cassius were dispatched, it ended up Mark Antony fleeing to Egypt, where he got into a war with Octavian, with Octavian ending up being the winner, with Mark Antony and Cleopatra's death sealing Octavian's rule on Rome, becoming Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus, first Caesar of Rome, effectively ending Rome's time as a republic. And to think, the flames of war, which engulfed most of the known world at the time, flames Julius Caesar fanned directly and indirectly, flames that brought the beginning of the end of the Roman Republic, and flames that saw the birth of the Roman Empire, were ignited by some goofy Cilician pirates in 75 BC when they kidnapped a 25-year-old Julius Caesar, who retorted by building a naval force to capture the pirates who had kidnapped him. This was Caesar's first military engagement, an engagement that ignited a fire under Caesar, who eventually became a brilliant military leader and tactician, and the first interim dictator of Rome, the beginning of the end of the Roman Republic. And once again, I thank you, my friends and family, for joining me on this journey and this story. I'm Big Duke 6 from CoolKegs Studios. And remember, Civis Pacem Parabellum. If you want peace, prepare for war. Until next time.